Hi everyone, it's Samantha from the Dancing Soap Dish here. I hope you're well. It's Tweak of the Week time again, and this week I am looking at these little plastic squeeze bottles that I got online. They've come with a little bit of a syringe top, but I'm going to pull that off because that little top will just get clogged up with melt and pour soap in no time at all. But the rest of the bottle is something I think I can work with. So I decided to do an experiment and see what sort of effect I can make with a squeeze bottle and melt and pour soap. And I got to tell you, the results are not what I expected. But I did learn something about melt and pour soap along the way. So I'm going to show you what happened so we can all learn. This video is part of my Tweak of the Week series where I borrow tools and techniques from other crafts and hobbies and use them to make melt and pour soap. You can find all the tweaks of the week in a special playlist on this channel. So the first idea that I wanted to try was to make some beautiful colored clear glycerin soap bars, like fill the mold up 95% of the way with a colored clear soap, and then use my squeeze bottle to squeeze in, the last 5% of opaque soap in the same color and see what sort of effect that would get me. So I chose this beautiful green soap dye here, and I also chose Bergamot mint essential oil to scent my soap with. This soap coloring that I'm using, is a dye, so it will migrate and bleed, but I'm just going to use the one color, so it doesn't matter you won't even notice if it migrates and bleeds. So what I did is I put my soap mold on a tray and on some scales, and here I am weighing out, the soap molds to sort of 95% full. Turns out I miscalculated. I had too much soap anyway, so it didn't really matter. But anyway, that's what I've done. And I've just sprayed it there with some isopropyl alcohol to get rid of the bubbles. And then I melted some white soap base, which I also tinted with the beautiful green color. I didn't bother scenting this because it's such a small amount of soap. I didn't think it mattered, but I did color it. I lost the ring from my bottle there in the soap, so I had to fish that out. But there we go. So I've got this beautiful green opaque color and this beautiful green transparent color. I've filled up my little bottle here. It did start spitting a bit because of the heat, so I just sort of made sure I had a nice thin stream, and I started putting it onto my soap. But then the strangest thing happened. I noticed that the white soap wasn't sort of going into the clear soap. Even when I put the nozzle of the bottle down into the soap bar and sort of squeezed, all the soap just sort of sat on top. Now, I got to say, it's winter here in the Southern Hemisphere, and we are having a bit of a cold snap. And this is probably the coldest that my house ever gets. I do live in subtropical Australia, so it doesn't get very cold. We're talking 18 degrees Celsius here, not very cold at all. But it is colder than usual, and maybe that made the soap sort of set a bit faster. I don't know. Maybe I should have peeled off any skin that was on the top. But when I took them out when they'd set, it was exactly as I'd feared, and it really looked like that opaque soap did not penetrate the clear soap at all. And also I was able to peel large amounts of it just off the back of the clear soap. It didn't even stick, and which I thought was strange because I did stick the bottle down, the spout of the bottle down into the soap, and squeeze the bottle, and I thought it was very interesting how the soap still ended up on the surface. I mean, the soaps that I did that to, they had dents in them. The clear had dents in it where I'd pushed the bottle nozzle into it, but that was it. It was just a dent, and then the opaque soap was still sitting on top. So here's me sort of sitting here going, what just happened? How can I do this better next time? I'm sitting here having a think. Because that was really not what I was expecting at all. I thought that was very strange. I do really love the scent though, and I really love the green. It's a beautiful color. So never to be deterred, I sliced off the bottoms and sliced up all those little bits of opaque soap. And now I'm also going to cut up the clear soap and I'm going to start again. And this is why I love melt and pour soap, because hey, you have a disaster and guess what? Just chop it all up, chuck it back in the microwave, melt it again, which is exactly what I'm going to do. I've decided this time I'm going to be working a lot faster, and also the fact that I don't have to colour and scent my soap means that I can work a lot faster. I'm not bothering with the weighing out this time, I'm just going to eyeball it. So I'm very quickly just pouring my soap into the mould there, and then I'm going to quickly melt this down as well. I'm going to give my clear soap a bit of a stir just to make sure that there isn't a skin on the top and that it is still quite fluid, which it is. You could see that there. I filled up my bottle. I've got a little bit too much this time around, but that's fine. And this time I'm really sort of getting in there. I'm giving it a really good squeeze. I'm squeezing it from a height, and I'm, going round in circles and zigzagging and sort of really making sure that the opaque soap is getting into the translucent soap. I'm going to refill my bottle. You can see there that the opaque soap is still quite fluid. I'm going for a second time, and I'm really just making sure that all of this soap is getting in there, giving it a big squirt from a height as well. And you can really see that soap this time around is not sitting on the surface, but actually being able to get inside the translucent soap. So I sat and waited for that to set. And then I came back. It's looking pretty much similar to how it looked last time I left it, only now that it's set solid. And so I demolded it to see what sort of effect I would have. So here's the first one. And this is what it looks like, which is very interesting. So even though I sort of went all over the place, rough and tumble with the opaque soap, I've noticed that each of these soap bars has sort of an identical pattern of a sort of clear in the center, and the opaque soap has definitely stuck more to the outside of the soap bar. But we've also got these little sort of lines and sort of little straight lines sort of radiating out from the edge of the soap. And that is sort of the effect that the soap has settled into as it's set, which I think is very interesting. I was not expecting that. I think it's very pretty. I think it's a lovely effect, especially when you hold it up to the light, or if there's a darker color behind it. I mean, this green is just superb. It's beautiful. It looks like a sort of a jade bar, which is fantastic. But I was getting a bit of deja vu, and the reason was because when I made my petri dish bars, and I used a mica and alcohol mix that I added to my soap bars, and lo and behold, it is pretty much the exact same pattern. Again, the mica and the alcohol tended to run down the side of the soap mold, sort of graduate to the side of the soap mold, and you can see most of it on the side of the soap bar. But then also there's like a clear center and these straight line sort of striations that run from the outside of the bar into the center. I mean, this has got some little spots as well because it was a petri dish effect, but I just thought that was so amazing. So I had another idea. I also wanted to try two different colors. So in the first bar, I just used the green. This one, I'm making some grapefruit bars. So I thought, wouldn't it be nice if I made some yellow transparent bars and then squeezed some pink opaque soap into the yellow to make a beautiful orange grapefruit color. That was the grapefruit essential oil just going in there, and also a little drop of yellow pigment. Not a dye, a pigment in this case, so these ones won't bleed. I don't have to worry about that. Same with this red that I'm about to add now. These are pigments. They do not bleed and they do not migrate. But I have here a beautiful yellow translucent soap and a beautiful pink opaque soap. So again, I just sort of eyeballed it. I filled them up, most of the way. There's just a little bit of a gap from the top of the mold. I'm working as quickly as I can because I do not want this to set, and it's still a cold day, and the soap was setting up really, really fast. So what I did is I weighed out 40 grams of the opaque soap because I wanted to put 10 grams in each. So I decided to do another experiment. I've just weighed out 20 grams into this bottle to do the first 2. But I thought what I might try with the second 2 is adding some glycerin to my soap to try and make it a little bit more dense. So instead of sort of floating around the surface of the soap, could I make it sink a little bit further into the translucent soap, maybe even hit the bottom of the soap by making it a bit more dense? And look at this, I've already got a skin on the top here, so I'm just going to scrape that off because the skin is not your friend when you're doing this. So there we go. Now I've removed the skin. The opaque soap is going in quite well. Again, I just sort of did circular motions and I've sprayed it with the alcohol. But even looking at how it's reacting to the alcohol being sprayed on it, it's definitely looking different. The soap that had the glycerin added to the soap that didn't have the glycerin added. So I set these aside as well. I was sitting there with the, waiting for them to set up so I could see how these came out. So here they are. Just pop that tray out of the way. Again, looks pretty similar to how I left them when, before they had set. I'm going to start with the first ones that I did over here. I'm wondering if I'm going to get a similar, yes, it is a similar effect to the green ones that I did. I am loving the colors though, but look at this. See how the pink is definitely gathered around the side, and then little striations of it are sort of, wispy bits are wisping into the middle, but the middle is definitely clearer than the rest of the soap. And interesting, I didn't necessarily, add the opaque soap in circular motions. For these ones, I did sort of a bit of a zigzag and all the way across the middle and stuff, but it still ends up with that gap in the middle and most of the opaque soap sitting around the edge. Okay, so this is the one that had the glycerin added. And while it's still the same effect, I do think that it has penetrated deeper into the soap bar than the soap that didn't have that extra glycerin added. Because I don't know if you've ever used glycerin before. It is, it's sort of, it's very, what's the word? Viscous. Viscous is the word I'm looking for. It has a higher viscosity than, say, definitely a higher viscosity than, say, alcohol. It just made the soap a little bit more dense and was able to sink more to the bottom. Okay, so these are my finished soap bars. And I got to say, I think they're very pretty. I really like the swirliness and the silkiness of them. The pink around the edge is also quite cute. These green ones are just beautiful. The camera's really not doing them justice. They smell amazing. This one is grapefruit, and it's definitely looking like a super fun grapefruit bar of soap. Certainly not what I was expecting, but stunning nonetheless. Super cute. I love it. And these green bergamot mint scented bars are just beautiful, lovely, a lovely bar of soap. So this experiment has certainly left me with more questions than answers. I'm curious to know if sort of different brands of melt and pour soap, different types of melt and pour soap, depending on their density, would behave in a different way. Obviously, the opaque soap base that I used here was less dense than the clear, and this is the effect that you get. So if you're looking to replicate this effect, that's what you need to remember. I also need to remember to just remove any skin from the top of your soap bar before you try and squirt in the opaque soap. But other than that, I think this is a great idea that you definitely should try yourself, suitable for beginners. And if you do try it, I'd love to hear back about how it went for you and what sort of effect you got. All right, thanks guys. I hope you enjoyed today's Tweak of the Week. Don't forget to look at the rest of the Tweaks of the Week in the special Tweak of the Week playlist. And thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you love what I do. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.